What's cracking, guys? Bruce Mattson here, your host show of Metric Scout Fantasy Football, and today we're digging back into those top 10 rookie wide receiver rankings to get you ready for them rookie drafts. We're going to keep pumping this out every so often because changes are going to happen. More data is going to come out. We're going to keep looking over these players. We're going to change our mind here, change them there, and all that stuff because we're constantly evaluating. So here's the top 10, what I currently have it at right now. And the main thing when I look at this wide receiver class is that I like it. It's deep, and it's got a little bit of something for everybody. We got the big wide receivers. We got the contested catch guys. We got the small, quick guys. We have the route running technicians. We have the early breakout guys. We have the later breakout guys who have questionable metrics but great tape. We just have a little bit of everything. We have wide receivers who are going to have good draft capital. We have wide receivers who are good, who may slide in the draft. It's just everything in a nutshell is in this wide receiver class. It is deep and it is also top heavy, which is always good to see. When in doubt, chase the wide receivers, especially this year, because you're going to find some talent. And my strategy, as with the last few years with these deep wide receiver classes, is to just pick a bunch of them, because I know a lot of these wide receivers are going to go off like firecrackers, one after the other, kind of like how it did this year, kind of like how it did with the class prior in 2020. When you have a bunch of good wide receivers, they're just going to take turns going off and breaking out at the NFL level. But with that being said, let's dig into the top 10 rookie wide receiver rankings. I really want to start off with this top 10 rookie wide receiver rankings with a tier. These two wide receivers just need to be interjected with each other. 1 and 2, 2 and 1. I like them about the same, but one has to be 1, one has to be 2, but they're tiered together. My wide receiver 1 in these rankings right now is Treylon Burks, though. Wide receiver from Arkansas. He's 6'3", 225 pounds, and he is fast. He's a burner. He broke out at age 19, so he meets that threshold. He had a 41.15% market share of Arkansas's passing production this year, along with 3.57 yards per out run, and he averaged 9.3 yards after the catch per reception. If that doesn't tell you he's got after the catch abilities and wheels, I don't know what's going to do it for you. But watching him on tape, you can tell he's a physical specimen. He's got size adjusted speed for days, and he can really dominate the game once you put the ball in his hands. I like Treylon Burks. He's one of the top wide receivers in this draft. My second wide receiver, who can go wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 in these rankings, top tier here, is Garrett Wilson from Ohio State, 6 foot, 188 pounds. Different archetype, like completely different from Treylon Burks. He's more of a technician. He's got tremendous contested catch abilities. He can climb the ladder and bring it home. He averaged 3 yards per route run this year, had a 141.7 QB rating when targeted, and had 2.14 yards per team pass attempt. He's been productive throughout his career. Had a 34.14% market share of Ohio State's passing production in 2020. That was his breakout season at age 20 last season in that shortened COVID year. But he's been gangbusters all along. I like him. He has elite change of direction skills. He really has good footwork. I think that's something people don't bring up much about him, but also when the ball's in the air, whether he's contested or not, he knows how to time his jump. He's got strong hands, and he's going to bring it home. Garrett Wilson is a stud in this year's class. At the third spot in my rankings, my wide receiver 3, I have Drake London. Big boy, 6'5", 210 pounds, kind of comp him towards like a Mike Evans type of wide receiver. Gets downfield, makes plays, happens. He's not a big-time separator, but for his size, for a 6'5" guy, he has some good footwork. That is something people don't mention much when they talk about Drake London. He has smooth feet. he can create separation at times, but really he's money when he's getting downfield, having to post up, and rising up to make the catch. Even counting for the time missed due to the injury, he still had a 30.28% market share of USC's passing production, which was a big time. 2.17 yards per team pass attempt. Just a baller. And 3.52 yards per route run. He's very efficient. And really, we've been high on him ever since last year. That's when he broke out. But he really improved upon his draft stock this year during his junior year because he was one of the most productive wide receivers in college football. The fourth wide receiver in my rankings is Jameson Williams from Alabama. Right now he's recovering from an ACL injury from the national title game, but he is a baller, and I think he's still going to get drafted in the first round. I'm hearing a lot of talks and mock drafts and everything else, so I think his draft capital is good to go. He's 6'2", 189 pounds, but has speed for days, very explosive. Doesn't even matter if the defender has the angle on him. He's going to blow right past. Had a 30.99% market share of Alabama's passing production. He just took over this year and really made the best decision for himself because things weren't happening for him at Ohio State. It wasn't happening, but once he transferred to Alabama, it blew up. Saban knew what to do with him. Williams took the opportunity and ran with it, and you can't say anything bad about that. Also had 2.7 yards per team pass attempt, so that's pretty solid, and 9.9 yards after the catch per reception. Dude's been booking it once he gets the ball in his hands. He's still only 20 years old. He's a young cat. In a few months, he'll be old enough to drink, but he'll start his NFL career as a young wide receiver. The fifth rookie wide receiver on my ranks is David Bell, wide receiver from Purdue. Honestly, he's one of my favorite wide receivers in this class. And the reason why I don't have him in the 1, 2, or 3 range is because I don't know where he's going to get drafted. There's a chance he gets drafted in the second round. There's a chance he free falls in the draft. It's hard to get a gauge on him right now, but he has been productive throughout his entire career at Purdue. Broke out as an 18-year-old freshman. This year had 31.47% market share and had 2.24 yards per team pass attempt. 6'2", 205 pounds. And the only thing I can knock him on, it's hard, you gotta nitpick it, is he's not a super athlete, but everything else is pristine. He's a good route runner, good ball skills, has an amazing highlight film showcasing those ball skills with him rising up, making one-handed catches, contested catches, good balance, good body control, good footwork, a very smooth athlete. And I like David Bell. I think he can help out a number of them NFL teams once he gets to the next level. I'm pretty strong with him right now in my ranks, unless we get chatter that the NFL does not like him. Going to my sixth wide receiver off the board. This is where things get a little skeptical. This is where people's ranks start to get a little different. You can probably say that with 5 with David Bell with some people. But here, I am drafting George Pickens, wide receiver from Georgia, 6'3", 200 pounds. Suffered an ACL injury, slowed down his junior season this year. But the dude's got ball skills. The dude has the size. The dude looks good on the field. I like to shoot for upside with my picks. I like to shoot for wide receivers that has a chance to get me a top 10 player, top 5 player that can shoot up the board in ADP. And to think about this, there's a lot of good wide receivers in this draft, but the league is being infiltrated with a lot of young wide receivers. So why not shoot your shot on a guy who has that top upside? I see that with George Pickens, 5-star recruit out of high school, broke out at age 18 as a freshman, continued to be productive the following year, even in an anemic offense. Tore his ACL, came back early to showcase what he could do, made some big catches in the national title game. George Pickens is a man among boys when he's healthy. His tape's not 100% pristine. In prior seasons, there were clips of him kind of taking plays off and stuff like that. But when it comes to ball skills, when it comes to rising up and bringing home the catch, George Pickens can do it all. I got him as my 6th wide receiver right now. at 7. And I've been wanting to talk about this guy for a bit, and I'm trying to get excuses on this channel to talk about him. Here I got Wandale Robinson from Kentucky, formerly from Nebraska, 5'10", 185 pounds. His height is controversial because there's pics with him out there standing right next to Rondale Moore, standing right next to Nick Saban, who's like 5'6". So you might be shorter than that, or he could be around this range. Who knows? Teams list their players differently, but we'll find out here soon when it comes for measurement time at the Combine and Pro Day. But he broke out at age 19 at Nebraska, then transferred to Kentucky this season and blew up against SEC competition, had a 45.47% market share of Kentucky's passing production. So technically he broke out twice in his career, which is hard to do because you have to play for 2 different teams and then you have to actually break out. Had 3.64 yards per team pass attempt, which is high. It's a very, very good number. And had 3.44 yards per route run. He's very athletic. He's got ball skills. You can use him in the slot. He can beat guys with speed. He can beat guys with his short area quickness, good ball skills. Wandale Robinson, it's going to be very interesting where he goes in the draft. It's going to be very interesting how he does at the Combine because he's very athletic. The big knock on him is I don't know what his role would be like at the next level. Is he going to be more like a jigsaw piece where they just use him on special packages? Or is he going to actually have a role in the slot, playing outside, getting a lot of targets? But right now, this guy has the production to get you excited for him, to get you excited to draft him in rookie drafts. My 8th wide receiver on my list here that I'm going to talk about is Chris Olave, wide receiver from Ohio State. One of the reasons why I got him on here is it's going to have the draft capital. He's going to be a first rounder. I feel pretty good about that because that's all we're hearing about in these mock drafts. Chris Olave going in the first round. Chris Olave getting overdrafted. Chris Olave getting drafted over this guy. We're hearing this left and right. I feel the draft capital is going to be there for him. He broke out at age 19 at Ohio State, which is pretty good, especially for a Buckeye. Buckeye wide receivers don't tend to break out early. Age 19 breakout is good. Had a 34.71% market share in 2020 last year in the shortened season. Those numbers decreased this year, but Jackson Smith-Njigba broke out in a big way. Garrett Wilson was doing Garrett Wilson things. Chris Olave was there, still providing some production, but it looked like he had a major dip. But he was really contending with some alphas in the offense, so you can't really knock him too much. He's a smooth route runner. He's a technician. He can be a key contributor as a wide receiver too in his new passing offense at the NFL level. And if he connects well with his quarterback, lands in a good situation, we could see some decent fantasy results. My 9th wide receiver off the board here, who I have ranked, is Jahan Dotson from Penn State. Starting throughout the process, watching him over years, I didn't really like him. He's starting to grow on me a little bit, but the thing I like about him the most is a lot of people are projecting that he'll get some decent draft capital. There's a chance that he becomes a first rounder, maybe a second rounder, but with him getting selected early, a round 1 guy, if it happens, then that's going to perk your ears up. Draft capital matters, and if he's getting selected in a lot of high-end mock drafts, then there must be some rumors leaking from the NFL execs or whatever, scouts, that some teams are high on him. But he did break out at age 20. That's a late breakout age, but not a bad one. Late for me is 21, 22. 20 gets a little skeptical. I prefer 19, 18, but age 20 is fine. Had a 33.86 market share of Penn State's passing production this year, 2.43 yards per team pass attempt. The thing that sticks out to me most on tape when it comes to Dotson is just his ability to raise those arms up, even while contested. Catch that ball over his head, catch it out to the sides. Those hands are sticky. They're just very sticky. He's not going to let that ball go. He runs a lot of routes over the middle. He's quick. He's got some short area quickness, and he's made some big catches over the course of his career at Penn State. So Jahan Dotson is a player to look out for in rookie drafts this year. My 10th player on my list. And when you get to 10 here, things get a little dicey. There are some G5 guys I could have had here with some good production metrics, maybe some good athletic specs, but I really want to shoot my shot for upside again. And here is a player that'll probably get moved up or down the board soon, and it's Justin Ross from Clemson, 6'4", 205 pounds. And the reason why I got him here is, honestly, I'm just taking a shot at the gamble on Justin Ross. At least I'm thinking through it right now. I could change my mind, but really all these videos I put out here is kind of like my diary, going through the process of getting us to these rookie drafts. But he broke out early in his career at age 18 with a 23.89% market share at Clemson, the former wide receiver U, the college that puts out NFL caliber wide receivers. Had a major injury that impacted his career, a spinal injury. But we have to remember, he outproduced T. Higgins, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL right now. He outproduced Hunter Renfrow, one of the best route runners in the NFL right now. And he is now headed for the NFL draft. He came back this year after that devastating injury to play with a rough Clemson offense, rough quarterback play. Still managed to own a 22.37% market share of that passing production. Was he back to where he was? No. Is he going to get there? Maybe. But if he gets there, he's one of the top wide receivers in this class. Good route runner, solid hands, sell the routes, and he's a smooth operator, and that's something you want to gamble on. And he's done it against top competition at the Power 5 level. And again, at the 10th wide receiver on the list, there's no risk here, because usually the 10th guy in any class of wide receiver ain't doing nothing. So Justin Ross here, I feel like it's a good gamble here as my 10th wide receiver, and this could change here in the next few days, weeks, months, as we keep evaluating. These younger guys, these guys from smaller schools, I like them too. There's a few of them. But we just got to keep evaluating these players and really hammering home these collegiate profiles. We got a lot of time until the draft. We got a lot of time after that for our rookie drafts. Those are going to be coming up left and right once we get some more data points from the Combine, from the Senior Bowls, from all those All-Star Bowl games. We're going to have more of those data points to really help us figure out what we want to do with these players. But right now, when we look at the production metrics, when we look at the tape, we have a lot of good wide receivers in this class. We have a lot of small school guys that are good. And at the top, we got some solid selections to choose from. And I'm excited to see where these players go next year. But I want to thank you for watching the show, sticking with me. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. Really fuels the channel, fuels me to keep putting out these rankings, these player profiles, and everything else. Again, I want to thank you, and I'll catch you next time.